You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
I stepped into the dining room and felt the tension before anyone even said a word. The place looked like Party City exploded in it. Gold balloons everywhere, streamers drooping from the ceiling fan, and Lynyrd Skynyrd blaring through a Bluetooth speaker like we were all still stuck in 1978. Everyone had that tight, fake grin plastered on, like they were about to take a family photo at gunpoint. It was my father-in-law Frank's 60th birthday dinner. I had a bottle of whiskey under one arm, and a polite smile stretched across my face, but I already knew this night was going to go sideways. You could feel it in the air, like walking into a room where everyone just stopped talking about you. My name's Cameron. I'm 33. I live in Lakewood, Colorado. I've been married to Carrie for just over 2 years, and if there's one thing I've learned about her family, it's that normal is just a word they use before the chaos starts. Quick note: before we go deeper, share which city or country you're watching from. Carrie was already seated at the long table, her wine glass spinning in slow circles between her fingers. She wasn't drinking, just nervously twisting the stem like it might crack in her hand. Her stepmom Linda was at the head of the table, right next to Frank, giving me the occasional sideways glare like I'd kicked her cat on the way in. Mike, Carrie's stepbrother, was leaned back, manspreading like he was auditioning for a cologne ad. Aunt Jody was sipping rose and talking loud like she was drunk already. And Kelsey, the cousin who never worked a day in her life, was live posting the whole thing on Instagram. I gave Frank the bottle and a handshake. "Happy birthday, sir." He smiled, warm as ever. "Glad you made it, Cam." But Linda had already started circling like a shark. "You clean up all right?" she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Still not sure how we went from Luke to this, but here we are. I forced a smile. "Good to see you too, Linda." Dinner was tense. The kind of tension where no one eats fast, and everyone pretends they didn't hear what they just heard. I made small talk with Frank about Broncos games, but Linda kept steering the conversation back to the past, the Luke years, how he built them a fire pit, painted the guest room, fixed the gutter. Then she leaned forward, glass in hand, eyes locked on mine. "You'll never be what Luke was to Carrie." I nodded once, calm as ever. "Then ask him to cover your mortgage, because I'm done footing the bill." And I took a bite of my steak. Linda froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. "What bills? You never gave us a dime." I didn't even blink. I pulled out my phone and tapped into my banking app. "Cool. Let's do this then." I opened the folder I'd labeled just in case shit goes sideways. 2 years of transfers, all sorted, all named. My thumb slid slowly down the screen like I was scrolling through a murder confession. "August 6th, I said, my voice steady. 2300. Description: Frank's MRI, Lutheran Hospital. September 2nd, 9:50. Marked as water heater plumbing repair. October 15th, 1200 for vet bill for Pepper, paid to Banfield. December 3rd. Emergency dental work for Aunt Jody. Jody's face twitched. She sat up straighter in her chair. I kept going. January 2700 to cover 3 months of back rent. March 1800 for car repairs. April, Linda's prescription copay, 600 even. Want me to keep going? Carrie had gone ghost pale. She was staring into her wine like it might give her an escape hatch. Her hands shook just enough that the glass tapped against the table. She didn't say a word. Linda looked like someone slapped her. That money never came through my account. "No shit," I said. "It all went to Carrie's." She said you didn't do digital banking. So I ran it through her like she asked. Then I turned to Frank. "Did you ever get an invoice for the MRI? Because I paid for it." Frank blinked slow. "Carrie handled it," he said, almost under his breath. She said insurance covered most of it." I swiped to a summary screen and held the phone up for everyone. "That's 52,000 and change over 2 years. You can argue the totals if you want." I got receipts. The silence that followed wasn't quiet. It was heavy. Like the air itself got thicker. Nobody moved. Jody's fork slipped off her plate and clinked onto the floor. Frank leaned forward, eyes on his daughter. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Carrie, were you giving us the money?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her eyes welled up, then darted around like she was looking for the exit sign. Her jaw clenched. Still no words. Just the slow, red flush creeping up her neck. I didn't feel angry. Not anymore. That was gone. No rage. No heartbreak. Just this cold, locked-in certainty. Like flipping a switch you didn't know existed. I pushed my chair back and stood up. "I'm not your piggy bank. I'm not your Luke substitute. I'm done playing house with a family that plays me." Carrie still hadn't spoken. Her wine glass trembled in her hand, and I could see the tears forming. But that didn't change anything. Frank looked gutted, like someone ripped the air right out of his lungs. I didn't know," he said. "I swear to God, I didn't know." Linda started to say something, probably another excuse, but I held up my hand. "Save it. I don't want to hear one more goddamn word about Luke, about how I'm not him, about what he did or didn't do. I've been paying your bills while you sat there acting like I was freeloading." Mike shifted in his seat, clearly uncomfortable for once. Kelsey looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. I turned back to Carrie. "You want to explain any of this? Now would be the time." Her lips parted, but the words got stuck. She stared down at her plate, eyes glassy, face bright red. I waited 5 more seconds. Nothing. That was it. That was all I needed. I tucked my phone into my back pocket, nodded once, and walked straight to the front door. I walked out of that house with the kind of silence that sticks to your skin. No yelling, no door slam, just the weight of finally knowing. And I kept walking, out the driveway past Carrie's car, down the sidewalk. I didn't even pull my phone out. I just let my feet move. Took me straight back to the first time I met her family. 3 years ago, Valley Pizza Buffet. We'd been dating for about 5 months, and Carrie wanted me to meet everyone. She said it'd be low-key, just pizza, soda, and small talk. I believed her. We walked into that greasy, yellow-lit place, and the second I shook Linda's hand, I felt it. That too long pause, the half-smile that never reached her eyes. Like she already didn't approve, just hadn't decided why yet. She sat across from us in that sticky vinyl booth, chewing on a breadstick and launching right into her favorite subject. "Well, Luke helped us redo the whole roof last spring. Didn't need a contractor or anything. Just climbed up there and handled it." I smiled, nodded, figured it was just a proud memory. But it didn't stop. Luke built the fire pit in the backyard, too, with Real stone. Not that prefab stuff. He even poured the concrete himself. Luke always ordered pepperoni and pineapple. Remember that, Carrie? "Oh, Luke hated this place," said it gave him indigestion. But he'd still come just to humor us. He was like that, thoughtful. Carrie winced a little, but she didn't say much. Just held my hand under the table and mouthed sorry once or twice. Every time I tried to join the conversation, Linda cut it sideways. I mentioned my job in IT. She smiled thin and said, "Luke never needed YouTube tutorials to fix stuff around the house." I said I was going to help Carrie fix her fence that weekend. Linda leaned back, sipped her soda, and said, "Luke would have had that done by now." Even Mike jumped in. "You ever change brake pads before?" Luke showed me how when I was 16. Aunt Jody nodded along, chewing with her mouth open. He was a real man's man, that one. Just a shame how it ended. That phrase, real man's man, they said it like it was gospel. And I'm sitting there, smiling through it, eating soggy pizza like it's no big deal, telling myself I just had to give it time, win him over with patience, effort. I told myself they were still healing, that I wasn't supposed to compete with a ghost. But the truth was Luke wasn't gone. He was very much alive, and still sitting at that damn table in all their stories, all their expectations. Carrie never defended me that night. Not once. She just let them talk. On the way out to the parking lot, I remember asking her, "Do they always talk about him like that?" She shrugged. "They're just stuck in the past. It'll fade." I wanted to believe her, so I let it slide. Told myself I didn't need anyone's approval. I popped the trunk, tossed in the leftover box, and told her I was fine. I tossed the pizza box in the fridge when we got home and told myself I'd forget about it. First family dinner, whatever. Nobody gets it perfect. And for a while, things really were good. Solid, even. Our first year of marriage was nothing fancy. But it was ours. We'd do late-night grocery runs on Fridays, blasting old pop songs in the car like high school kids. Saturday mornings were for burnt pancakes and YouTube cooking fails. We danced in the kitchen barefoot, laughed through cheap horror movies with ketchup-stained popcorn bowls, and crashed on the couch under one ugly blanket. Bills were paid, sex was good, and Carrie was actually happy. At least I thought she was. Then Linda started calling. Every Sunday like clockwork. And not for normal stuff. Not to say hi or check in. No. Every call turned into a walk down memory lane, and somehow Luke always led the tour. Remember when Luke built that deck out back without help? Took him 2 days flat. Remember when Luke taught Mike how to mow the lawn the real way? Straight lines, not that crisscross mess you boys do now. Remember Luke's chili? Lord, I still can't eat anyone else's without thinking of his. Carrie would laugh along every single time. Even when I was sitting right next to her, folding laundry or making coffee or doing something she damn well knew Luke never did. Afterward, she'd glance at me and go, "Sorry." She just gets stuck in the past. Don't take it personal. I didn't say much. Not at first. Just nodded, forced a smile, kept folding shirts. Told myself it was harmless nostalgia. Some people cling to what used to be, but it wasn't harmless. Not when it kept going. Linda wasn't remembering. She was comparing. And Carrie let her. One night we were watching Paranormal Activity for the 10th time. Carrie loved watching me jump, and right in the middle of a jump scare, her phone lit up with a text. Luke always hated horror movies. You're lucky yours will watch him with you. Linda. Carrie laughed. Oh my God. She's ridiculous. I didn't laugh. Why does she still text you stuff like that? She doesn't mean anything by it, Carrie said, brushing me off. It's just a joke. It's not funny. She sighed, paused the movie. You know how she is. I tune it out. You don't shut it down. She'll get tired of it eventually. She hasn't yet. Carrie got quiet, then said, Please don't make this a thing. I let it drop. Not because it wasn't a thing, but because I didn't feel like fighting over her mom's dead-end crush on her ex-fiancé. But something small cracked in me that night. Not loud, not sharp, just enough. I hit play on the movie, leaned back into the couch, and let the jump scares take over. The movie ended, and we sat there in silence, that weird kind that comes when the credits roll but neither of you feels like getting up. Then Carrie shifted beside me. Can we talk? I muted the TV. About what? She tucked her legs under herself, arms crossed like she already knew I wasn't gonna love whatever was coming. It's my dad. His back's worse. He had to leave work early twice this week. Okay. And they're behind on the mortgage. Like 3 months behind. I stared at her. What happened to all that refinancing they bragged about last year? She bit her lip. Things got tight. Linda's credit card is maxed out. They're not asking directly, but I want to help. I ran a hand down my face. How much are we talking? 2, maybe 3,000 a month. For a little while. Just to stabilize things. That's not pocket change, Carrie. I know. But they're not asking for a handout. Just a boost. And they can't ask themselves because? She hesitated. Linda doesn't really do banking apps. She's still using checks and mail-in stuff. It's easier if we just run it through my account. I can Venmo her or pull cash out. I leaned back into the couch. I didn't love it, but Frank wasn't a bad guy. He was quiet, kept to himself. Not the loud, manipulative type like the rest of them. If he really was in pain, I didn't want him drowning in bills while everyone else played pretend. All right, I said, but we do it clean. I'll make the transfers, label them properly, and we keep track. She lit up. Seriously? Yeah, but I want every dollar logged. If I'm covering family expenses, it's not going to be vague. She reached over and kissed my cheek. Thank you. So that's how it started. $2,000 in November. $2,600 in December. $3,000 in January when they said the furnace broke. Each one was labeled mortgage support, medical, utilities, all through Carrie's account like she asked. At first, it felt good, grown up, generous, like I was doing something that mattered. Frank even texted once. A short, appreciate you helping her out. That was the only acknowledgement I ever got. The rest? Crickets. No thank you call from Linda. No updates about Frank's back. No receipts. Nothing. Every month I'd transfer a couple grand, then wait, and hear nothing. Eventually I asked, did the check clear for the furnace? Carrie said, oh yeah, totally. They're warm now. Next month. Did Frank get to see that chiropractor? She blinked like she forgot the script. Yeah, he's going next week. Or maybe it was last week. I don't know, but he's going. I started getting a weird feeling in my gut. Not guilt, suspicion. It wasn't about the money. I could afford it. It was the silence. The way the help got swallowed whole and spit out like it never happened. They never even pretended to be grateful. Never followed up. Never sent a single, hey, it made a difference. So one night I brought it up again. They know it's from me, right? Carrie was scrolling on her phone. Of course. They ever say thanks? She paused. You know how my mom is. She's proud. It's awkward for her. Proud people don't cash monthly bailouts. She gave a tight smile and turned her screen away. They're just bad at showing appreciation. Okay? Right then, something shifted. Like someone pulling a thread and the whole sweater starts unraveling. She put her phone down, leaned into me and said, they're trying, babe, can we not turn this into a fight? I didn't say anything. I just nodded. And the next morning I opened a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet started clean. Just columns, dates, and amounts. But within 2 months it became a wall of red flags. Linda called one Tuesday morning while I was in the car. Carrie answered on speaker. They're cutting the internet tomorrow, Linda snapped. If we don't pay the bill, it's gone. I glanced over. Didn't I just send money last Friday? Carrie winced. Yeah, I'll ask her what happened. Linda kept talking. Also, we got a notice about the water. 2 days. Then it's off. I leaned in. I sent 3,000. What happened to it? Linda went quiet. Then the line disconnected. Carrie shot me a look. She probably lost signal. Right? That night I asked again. Where'd the 3 grand go? She didn't look up from her phone. There was an emergency vet bill. For the same dog I already paid for in November? She paused, scrolled harder. No, this was different. And Luke's mom needed help too. It's complicated. I stared at her. Why are we helping Luke's mom? Carrie finally looked at me. She's family in a way. She raised me like an aunt. She's not your mom. She's not either. That made 0 sense. But arguing wasn't getting me anywhere. Over the next few weeks, she got weird with her phone. Changed the passcode. Turned off previews. Started taking calls in the garage like we were living in a damn spy movie. One night, I walked in from the driveway and caught her pacing barefoot in the dark. Whispering. Who are you talking to? She jumped. Nobody. You're whispering to nobody? It's just Linda. She doesn't like being on speaker. She rushed back inside before I could say another word. After that, I started watching more closely. Patterns. Tone changes. Words she used more than once. Meanwhile, the money kept going out. 2,000. 2,400. 3,000 again. No updates. No explanations. No damn receipts. Then Mike showed up at our door. Just walked in like he still lived there. He was wearing designer shoes, bright white with gold trim, the kind that scream look at me and ask me no questions at the same time. He plopped on our couch and dropped his phone face up. Background photo was palm trees and beach chairs. Carrie blinked. You went to Mexico? He grinned. All-inclusive, baby. Tulum. Best tacos of my life. I stood in the kitchen, frozen. The same week Linda claimed they had no money for water. Mike was sipping cocktails oceanside. How'd you afford that? I asked. Mike didn't skip a beat. Crypto's been hitting lately. You should get in while it's low. Carrie laughed like it was no big deal. You're always on some hustle. He stayed for dinner. Didn't bring anything. Didn't say thank you. Talked about some new tattoo idea and a girl he met at the resort. That night, while we cleaned up, I said, "Are you sure the money's going where you say it is?" Carrie didn't answer. I pressed. "Because I'm not paying for Mike to party in Mexico while your mom cries about utility bills." She slammed the dishwasher shut. "You don't know what's going on, Cameron. You think throwing money around gives you control, but you don't get this family." "No," I said, stepping back. "I think you don't get what you've turned this into." She grabbed her phone and walked out back, barefoot, into the cold. I followed her with my eyes through the blinds, but I didn't go after her. Instead, I opened the spreadsheet and added Mike's trip to the list. I didn't say a word when she came back inside. Carrie walked past me like nothing happened, tossed her phone on the charger, and went straight to bed. I stayed up with the spreadsheet. 2 hours. Cross-checking names, matching timestamps, lining everything up. By 1 in the morning, I knew something didn't add up. I wasn't mad. I was done with mad. Mad doesn't get you answers, details do. So I started looking. Next morning, I texted Frank. Told him I'd drive him to his next chiropractor appointment, my treat. Just wanted to make sure he was getting real help. He called instead of texting back. "Appreciate the offer, Cam, but I haven't gone in months. We canceled that plan. Too expensive." I blinked. "I paid for January and March." "Really?" He sounded surprised. "No, Carrie told us it was off the table." I kept it friendly. "Must have been a miscommunication. No worries." I hung up and called the internet provider next. Just said I was checking on a payment for my in-laws. Gave them the address and played dumb. "Last payment we received," the woman said, "was 6 weeks ago. Accounts still past due." "Thanks," I said, holding back the tightness in my throat. Just trying to help the old folks out. I added it to the spreadsheet. Labeled it false claim. Internet disconnected. Red cell, bold font. That night, Carrie passed out early. I waited until her breathing got deep, rolled over, and unplugged her phone from the charger. It unlocked with Face ID. I scrolled straight to messages. I didn't even feel guilty, not anymore. It took less than a minute to find what I was looking for. The thread with Linda was full of short texts, most of them dry and businesslike. But one stood out. "Carrie, Cam just sent the 2K. I'll split it. 800 for rent, 600 for Mike's card, 300 for groceries, 300 to Luke's mom." Linda replied with a thumbs up. I kept reading. Another week, another message. "Carrie, yes, from Cameron's transfer. I sent $500 to Luke already." Linda, "Make sure he knows it's not from us." That line hit me like a punch to the chest. Not from us. They were moving my money around like poker chips. No permission. No transparency. No shame. And Luke? He had his own thread. I tapped it. Scrolled. It wasn't flirty. But it was worse than that. Comfortable. Familiar. Like old friends who never actually broke up. "Carrie, my mom's still obsessed with you." She brought up the fence again. "Luke, I could still fix it better than your guy." "Carrie, you probably could." "Luke, appreciate the help this month." "Carrie, it's not me. Cameron's still sending money. Still sending. Like it was on autopilot. Like I was a damn ATM and she just happened to have the pin." My hands shook a little. I wasn't even angry. I was locked in. Focused. The kind of quiet you only feel when you've reached the end of something. I opened my own phone, took screenshots of every message, backed them up to the cloud, and emailed them to myself. Then I walked to my office, grabbed the printer, and fed every single one through the tray. Color ink. Clean pages. All labeled. All dated. I added them to the spreadsheet, punched 3 holes in each sheet, slid them into a binder I'd already labeled that morning. Family ledger, fax only. By 3 a.m. It was done. 71 pages. Transfers, texts, call logs, voicemails, a full record. I zipped it shut, clicked off the printer, and stood in the hallway outside our bedroom. She was still sleeping like nothing was wrong. I stared for a moment, just long enough to know. Then I turned, walked to the kitchen, and made coffee. Black, no sugar. I didn't sleep the night before Frank's birthday dinner. Didn't eat the day of. Didn't need to. I showed up to that house in a button-down and boots, holding a zippered binder and the kind of clarity that doesn't flinch anymore. When Linda hit me with her Luke line, I gave her one back. And when she played dumb, said, "What bills? You never gave us a dime." I didn't raise my voice. I just unzipped the binder and flipped it open on the table. "You want to talk bills?" I said. "Let's talk bills." I pulled out the first page, held it up. November 3rd, $2,100 to cover 3 months of mortgage payments. December 5th, $1,600 marked Frank's medical plus heating oil. January 10th, $2,750. Water, electric, and credit card debt. February vet bill. March dental for Aunt Jody. April internet again. May Luke's mom. Frank blinked. Luke's mom. I kept going. June, July, August. More of the same. Add it all up, it's over $50,000. Jody's fork froze midair. Mike leaned back like he was trying to disappear into his chair. Linda laughed once. Just a short, sharp puff. "I have no idea what you're talking about." I flipped to a printed screenshot. "You sure? Because here's a text where Carrie told you she was splitting my $2,000 transfer between rent, Mike's credit card, groceries, and Luke's mom." Linda's smile cracked. Carrie was already pale, glass in hand, staring at the table like she could fall through it. Frank rubbed his chest. "Wait, back up. You sent money to Luke?" I locked eyes with Carrie. "You want to tell him, or should I?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Swallowed. Finally, Luke hit a rough patch. He needed help. Frank blinked again. "You used Cameron's money? I didn't think it would matter." "You didn't think?" he snapped. "I've been skipping meds to pay the heating bill." I turned to Mike. "And you? Mexico? That from my transfers too?" He looked down, said nothing. Carrie mumbled. "Some of it went to cover his gambling debt. He got behind. You said it was rent, internet, your dad's medical." It was that too," she stammered. "Just, some months were complicated." Frank's face collapsed in on itself. He looked like someone had taken a crowbar to his chest. "You told me we were broke," he said to Linda. "You told me not to ask questions. I was trying to protect you," she fired back. "You didn't need the stress. I needed my damn prescriptions." He barked. I flipped to another page. Text from Carrie to Luke. "It's not me, Cameron's still sending money." That's what she wrote. Linda stood up. "This is ridiculous. You're acting like some victim." "You took 50 grand, I said, standing too. "Used it like monopoly money. Sent 10 of it to your daughter's ex, gave another 7 to her deadbeat brother. Lied about utilities, bills, medical needs. And now you want to call me dramatic?" Jody put her glass down. Quietly, like maybe for once, she didn't want to be part of the show. Frank didn't say anything. Just sat there, shoulders sunken, staring at the spread of food in front of him like it had betrayed him too. Carrie tried to speak again. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought." "No." I cut her off. "You didn't think. You managed money that wasn't yours, you lied to me every damn week, and you let your family burn through my help like it was owed." Mike stood suddenly. "Look, man, I didn't know it was all coming from you, all right? You cashed in on it, though. I thought it was a family thing. It was theft dressed up in excuses." Linda raised her voice again. "We didn't steal. You gave it. That's different." I leaned forward, binder still open in front of me. "Consent requires honesty. You didn't have that. You played me. All of you." Nobody said a word. Frank finally stood. His hand was shaking. "I want every number, every receipt. I want to know exactly what I missed while I was rationing pain pills and skipping meals." I handed him a copy of the spreadsheet. Already printed. It's all there. He looked down at it like it was a damn obituary. Linda tried one last time. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Jody spoke up, quietly. No, he's not. Everyone turned. She nodded slowly. We knew something was off. We just didn't want to be the ones to say it. The table went still again. I zipped the binder closed. Now we fix it, I said. On my terms. Now we fix it, I said, zipping the binder closed. On my terms. I dropped a folder onto the table. Thick, cream-colored, clipped in the corner. Everyone stared at it like it was a bomb. Linda crossed her arms. What is this, a lawsuit? No, I said. It's a contract. Real simple. 5 rules. You break one, we're done for good. Carrie looked confused. Mike rolled his eyes. Frank just leaned forward, like he already knew what was coming. I opened the folder and passed out printed copies. Read along if it helps. I pointed to the first line. Rule 1. No more mentions of Luke. Ever. Not at dinner, not in passing, not as a joke. You bring him up, you're out. Done. Linda opened her mouth. I raised a hand. Don't care what the context is. He's not part of this marriage, this household, or this family. That door is sealed. I moved on. Rule 2. No more money goes through Carrie. Not 1 cent. Every payment I choose to make, if I make it, will go directly to the provider. Landlord, utility company, doctor, vet. No middlemen. No PayPals. No cash withdrawals. Carrie's head dropped slightly. Rule 3. Full documentation. Every bill. Every request. If someone needs help, I want the invoice. Not a text. Not a sob story. A real, dated document. I want to see the account number and amount due. No more surprises. Mike scoffed. Man, this is intense. I didn't blink. You haven't heard the rest. I flipped the page. Rule 4. Carrie and Mike owe me $17,000. Combined. That's 10 to Luke, 7 to Mike's gambling bullshit. Starting next month, you both repay it. Monthly, every first Friday. I don't care if it takes 2 years or 10. It gets paid. Carrie's eyes widened. 17, Cam. I don't even. You didn't ask when you were handing it out. She closed her mouth. Mike muttered. This is messed up. I didn't even know it was your money. Then you won't mind paying it back. He shook his head, leaned back like he was above it all. You think I can just cut you a check? I leaned in. I don't care if you sell your shoes or your Xbox. Figure it out. He looked away. I flipped to the last rule. Rule 5. Nobody contacts Luke for help, financial or otherwise. If I hear that his name's in your phones, your inboxes, your group chats, I'm out. You want him so bad? Let him start footing the bills. Silence. Then I slid a pen across the table. This isn't for show. It was drafted by a friend of mine, paralegal. Legally binding under Colorado's informal debt agreement statutes. Once you sign, you're responsible. Frank reached for the pen first. No hesitation. I'll sign right now. Carrie blinked. Dad. He cut her off. I should have known. I should have asked questions. I won't make that mistake again. He scribbled his name at the bottom, dated it, and pushed the pen toward Carrie. She looked like she wanted to cry. This feels like punishment. It's accountability, I said. You had chances. You chose lies. She looked at me, like she was trying to read how far I'd go. Then she signed. Quiet, small, like she didn't even recognize her own signature anymore. Mike took the pen, held it for a second like it might bite him, then scribbled his name down fast. Jody didn't say anything. She just watched, hands folded. For once, she wasn't smiling. Linda stared at her page. I'm not signing this. Then you don't get help. Her jaw twitched. You can't just cut off family. I can. And I will. I owe you nothing. She locked eyes with me for a second, then looked down, and signed. I collected the forms, stacked them, and slid them into the folder. From now on, I said, standing up, this is how it works. You want something? It goes through me the right way. No more back doors. No more hiding. And no more Luke. Everyone just sat there. No one argued. No one clapped back. They knew. They knew it was over. I picked up the folder, tucked it under my arm, and walked out the front door. The folder stayed in the glove box for a while. I didn't need to wave it around. Just knowing it was there was enough. 6 months later, things were quiet. No more fake emergencies. No late-night calls about leaking roofs or overdue bills. No surprise texts asking for just a little bit to hold us over. Frank was finally getting real treatment. I paid his provider directly, billed monthly, itemized down to the cotton swabs. No middlemen. No mystery charges. He thanked me once. Just a simple nod and, "Appreciate it, son." That was enough. Carrie picked up extra shifts at the clinic. Weekends, double blocks, whatever she could grab. She never complained. She logged every payment she sent me in a shared spreadsheet, date, amount, memo. Her half slowly shrinking. Marriage counseling was slow. Real, though. Ugly at times. We didn't pretend things were okay. We sat in a room and said things that burned to say. But we stayed. We showed up. Mike's been paying barely. His checks bounce sometimes, but he replaces them within a week. He sold the watch. The shoes are gone too. Drives Uber on weekends now. Swears he's done gambling. Linda's the biggest surprise. She keeps her own binder now. Blue plastic, neatly labeled with every receipt and bill she touches. Brings it with her whenever she shows up, like she's afraid I'll ask for proof she's still breathing. She's awkward as hell around me. Tries too hard. Too smiley. Asks if I want coffee, even though she knows I hate hers. But she uses online banking now. Progress. Last week, she almost slipped. Brought up a story about the old backyard fence. Started with "Remember when Lou?" and caught herself. She looked at me. I looked at her. She changed the subject. Smart. Carrie still keeps her phone locked tighter than Fort Knox. But I don't care. The game's over. She knows the rules. She knows the line. Luke doesn't come up anymore. Not in passing. Not in jokes. Not even in silence. He's done here. Now it's just me. My rules. My boundaries. And for once, finally, peace. I closed the glove box, turned the ignition, and drove to work.